So the other day I had some lady call as usual, but she ended up actually not taking our business because most people are looking for cheap labor. What was particularly different about this customer was that, actually inspired me to talk about this, make a video about this, was the fact that she was actually very nice and sincere. Our conversation wasn't long at all and she was straight to the point. So it went something like this. She mentioned she had a house cleaner, but she was going to raise her prices, as she should. Good for her. Everything else has gone up, and it blows my mind every time I hear people that say they have had their house cleaners for over 10 years and they have never raised their prices. And of course, they would never offer. However, she said she was not very happy about it because she thought that her cleaning was good, but it wasn't great. As she actually said, it wasn't excellent. So I thought, okay, she wants excellent, I guess, so she is definitely calling the right business. She also mentioned that her house was only 1,200 square feet and that 3 people lived there with 2 pets. So I mentioned to her that our minimum right now for residential cleaning for recurring customers, not non-recurring customers, was going for $160 minimum for 2 cleaners times 2 hours per service. That may seem high for some, but I will tell you why it's not. So when I mentioned that, before I even wasted my time elaborating any further on her services, she let me know that that was actually out of her budget and that maybe she should just go with a solo person instead of a company. So in that moment, I had this little tiny voice in the back of my head telling me like, but I decided to ignore it because every time I have that feeling, I always end up getting into an argument with people, and not necessarily a bad argument, but something was telling me that it just wasn't worth proving her wrong. So I politely agreed with her and wished her a nice day. She was really nice, so that really made all the difference. I gotten so used to people making these kinds of comments or really mean comments about prices all the time. At this point, I'm just over it. But for some reason, this particular one got me thinking, I have to make this video. So here are my remarks about this conversation, which pretty much is the classic conversation that we have with many of the people that calls us lately. Point number 1. She's been having this cleaner for a long time, and now that she needs to raise her price, she wants to fire her. So much for loyalty to the person who's been taking care of your home all these years. Point number 2. If she hasn't been great, I have 2 questions. Why did you stick with her if she wasn't great from the beginning? Or why didn't you correct her and show her how you actually like things before you continue to pay her and build the relationship for mediocre cleaning? When I first started this business, we always had customers let us know what they liked, what they didn't like, and always point out anything that we missed or we didn't do right. That's how we learned. Number 3, my guess, based on my work experience, is that when people start a job, they are actually very eager, but when the job is very draining and underpaid, meaning you can barely afford bills and there are no incentives, eventually humans become demotivated and their performance starts to slack. I feel like this is a very common knowledge, like common sense type of thing. Like everyone and their mother knows this, unless you live in a bubble. So why treat people like this? Why don't you treat people the same way you would like to be treated? Many solo cleaners are usually immigrants or very, very naive, ignorant people, not in a bad way, but ignorant in many ways, and they're usually vulnerable people that are often being taken advantage by people that are just unfortunately slightly smarter than them. Are often being taken advantage by the clients. Usually these people they don't know better, but the clients do, so shame on them. Being so that this industry is very, very undervalued and estimated, they usually start with, you know, a flat fee or a set price, and these people not knowing the actual value of their work, they agree to this in a moment of maybe like need or desperation, or just, you know, just need for work. Usually have no real math or science behind the number that they give, and eventually they realize that what they're making is just not enough to pay their bills, and they're stuck with, you know, with this underpaid job, and they feel stuck not knowing how to raise their prices without losing the few customers that they have. Therefore, these people have to find ways to maximize their earnings by cutting corners, moving faster, hiring people that are paid even less than them, or are gonna put even less effort than them, or they start rushing through jobs in order to be able to finish in less time, and by default not cleaning very good or thoroughly, etc. Number 4, I don't know how much is she actually paying this poor lady, but let me make something very, very clear. $160 is not a lot of money for a full house cleaning, especially with 2 full-time income earners in a house, let alone 3, like in this case. Dinner at a restaurant for 3 people, it's at least $120 nowadays, and it's going to go up. Just to sit down for 45 minutes and eat one meal that is gonna last whatever it takes you to eat it, and it's done. You know, a few hours later, you're hungry again and you need to eat again. And that meal that would take those 3 people 30 minutes max, and that's including probably dishwashing, to make it at home for a quarter of the cost. It takes, however, one person at least 6 to 8 man hours to clean an entire 1,200 square feet home by herself. And I say her because apparently all maids are women. And the cleaning will last at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks for like literally the cost of one dinner, one night out dinner. You get your entire house cleaned. Not only that, but you get your entire house cleaned. It will last 14 days. It will last through 2 entire weeks at least. It could last even longer when you hire the right company. Let's do the math, shall we? If you divide 160 by 14 days, we are looking at about $11 per day. And if you divide that by 3 income earners that live in the home, it equals to $360 per person that would cost them to get someone to take the heavy load off of them and enjoy a nice clean home by a person or company that they can trust. $160 for a full house cleaning is nothing compared to how much people actually paid for one small car detailing. One car detailing. It takes way less hours to clean and is way much easier to clean than an entire house. Are you kidding me? With all the different types of finishes and appliances that you can find in a house, do not compare to the simplicity of just cleaning the interior of a car, or even carpet cleaning. It's quoted at a higher rate than house cleaning. Window cleaning is much easier than house cleaning. Even organization is quoted at a higher rate than house cleaning. It's way more satisfying and less draining than house cleaning. But instead, customers prefer to exploit people and bargaining them into working for less money than they actually need and deserve to make livable income, so that the customer can have more money for themselves at the expense of someone's livelihood. So when she said that she should maybe just go with a solo person instead of a company, I actually wanted to tell her that we don't actually charge like a company. Well, in theory, maybe now we do, but not exactly. We used to not, and that's why we never grew or had enough money left to be able to retain some of our best cleaners at other companies, offering them better jobs with better and easier jobs with better pay and amazing benefits. We couldn't compete with that. So now we charge $160 minimum per service, which is about the same kind of quote quote than what big companies actually charge minimum per service. And on a quick note of that, I actually regret not raising my prices sooner. And obviously, you know, until we're now practically forced by inflation, but obviously COVID didn't help. You know, it is what it is. However, it is not at all the same thing as getting service from a big company. For $160 worth of service by a big company, you literally get trash service. You might as well hire your 5-year-old nephew to come and clean your house, and that will probably be a much better return on investment. You do not get the same quality with a big company that you would get with a small company. I will be making a separate video about the differences between the big company and a small company, but for the sake of this video, let's just understand one thing. Small businesses highly depend on their reputation, and we do not have the capital and the resources to invest on massive marketing campaigns. But big companies do. And where do you think they get the money for it? Most of the money they charge goes to pay these very competitive salaries and marketing costs, and very little bit of the money goes to actual hard labor. Most of these companies don't even offer any type of benefit to their workers. They don't offer social security or retirement plan for their workers. It's a very exploited industry. And if you support these companies, you are supporting their business ethics. So what about giving work to solo independent people? Isn't that better because all the money goes to them? Well, it really depends on how much you're actually paying them. Are you paying them enough to be able to, for them to be able to afford a full coverage health insurance, sick days, workers' comp, plus a retirement savings, vacation time? Or are you guaranteeing them at least 20 hours a week worth of earnings? If your answer is no to any of these, then you are most likely abusing someone in need of work. As a small company, we literally charge barely enough to cover the very basic expenses so that we can afford to pay our cleaners competitively for this line of work. We've been actually getting very lucky to have many of our friends and family helping us and supporting us with our business. If luck was not budgeted into the equation, we would have to charge $75 an hour per cleaner in order to be able to afford all the expenses and all the risks that comes with this business. And I will be able to maybe, perhaps, if everything goes good, be able to pay myself an actual salary for a change for my hard, really hard work that I put into this, where I actually don't get to clock in and clock out, just like these big companies. Don't believe me? Go ahead and check the rates for any well-known professional organizer. They are usually sole proprietors with like no more than 6 to 10 employees, and they charge $80 to $100 an hour per organizer. Okay, and their job is not as hard and as draining and as tiring as the job that we do. And I know because I've done many professional organizing jobs in the past, and I want to try to promote those a little more. Unfortunately, right now we're just really busy with the cleaning and being understaffed, and it's one of the reasons because we just don't have enough capital to hire more cleaners. Literally organizing is like way better, and way easier than cleaning. And honestly, the type of cleaning that we do just does not compare to the average cleaning. Like, it's, people think, well, organizing, it's like another level of like, no. If you do the type of cleaning that we do, and if you do cleaning right, we do another level of cleaning. So my point here is that solo independent cleaners shouldn't charge or get paid less, because people love to bargain the prices and decide how much they want to pay you. So rude. They shouldn't get paid less than the market value. Unfortunately, the market value for our industry is way lower than it should, thanks to something called classism. Another video for that. So you don't want to charge even less than that. Economy will continue to inflate, and being an independent worker comes with so many risks and cons, like the fact that you don't have guaranteed income or hours. Like, for example, customers can cancel at any time and you don't get to earn unemployment or get to pay for sick leave like everyone else working at a normal job. It's simply inhumane that people know this, but choose to believe otherwise and choose to belittle people's worth. If you are a house cleaner or have a small cleaning business, I want you to grab a piece of paper and I want you to write down right now how much money you need to make in a day or maybe in a week to be able to pay your bills. And then you're going to add the following. You're going to add 20% to make up for any cancellations and whatnot. Then you're going to add an additional 50% to pay for a good health insurance and any health related issues. Because if you're ill or hurt, you can't work and you need to have a savings for that. Then you're going to multiply that number by 2. Because for every dollar that you make today, you need to put another dollar down for retirement. And my advice to you is that every year or 2, you should try to make a 5% increase to your prices so that your income grows according with inflation. If you have a helper or a couple of employees in your business, you also want to make sure that they're being taken care of and you're not taking advantage of them or exploiting them by default as a result because you are afraid to charge more to your customers. People can 100% afford to pay you a little bit more. If they couldn't afford you, they wouldn't hire you at all. People can definitely afford to pay. Most of the customers that I get, literally, they have expensive clothes, they afford all kinds of things that they really don't need, and they really underestimate, the value of what I'm doing, the service that I'm providing for them, and what I'm really adding to their lives, which is quality of life, time for them to be able to take up other matters instead of, them literally spending hours and hours cleaning their house or pretty much letting their house fall apart because they don't have time for it. And yes, they can 100% afford it. If everybody at the house pitches in, most Americans, at least middle class Americans, should be able to afford at least some type of house cleaning or professional cleaning every so often, multiple times a year. Definitely. But they don't, because they undervalue the worth of it, and that's sad. People put a lot more value into material stuff than to actual services like this one. This is one of the most important services that throughout history, it's always been there. Having somebody to provide for the cleaning, to take care of the cleaning, has always existed. And it's sad that it has such a negative connotation and classist connotation to, it's seen as a lower class type of job, and it's not. Cleaning is not a job that should be underrated. It's a very important job that most people don't like to do or don't know how to do right. It's very physical, requires a lot of attention to detail, and many times it's gross. It gives you allergies, dirt all over your hair and clothes, to say the least. You 100% deserve to get paid more than just barely above minimum wage, which we all know it's not livable wage. And you 100% deserve to have a retirement savings. I would like to know if anyone disagrees with me and why. Please leave it in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. And if you like this video, please, you already know, give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts, share it, subscribe. That really helps to grow the channel, and share more tips about business and home and cleaning. Till next time.